Hello everyone, it's Ashwin Rao, and here is a new video that I'm bringing you from emerging shoemaker Kiattoko Handmade as a new concept. This is my introduction to a video that I'm hoping to gather your interest in forming a GMTO of a model that this particular shoe was designed from. This is the Kiattoko split toe derby. For those of you who are vintage shoe enthusiasts, you may be familiar with this style. That is a model of historical importance and rarity from Florsheim. So Florsheim, for those of you who are in the know, is a shoemaker that continues to exist in modern times, but has really fallen off in terms of quality. But back in the 1930s through essentially the 1990s, Florsheim was known as one of the best American-made, American-built shoemakers out there designing welted footwear. This was a model, their 93619 split-toe derby, with this unique design to the collar and side paneling of the shoe that was only made for a brief period of time in low quantities. At the time, I believe that split-toe models were not so popular, and Florsheim, as you probably know, was very well known for their gunboat, long-wing blucher style. What I love about this style is it's a little bit more dressed up, yet casual, and it has a number of elements that really lend themselves to describing what a high quality a shoemaker can be. And Kiattoko has designed this model for me as a preview of their capability of making high quality footwear. So let's take a deeper dive. So as you can see, split toe derby, this is on a customized last, a made to measure last, with a almond shaped, slightly asymmetric toe. You can see here. This shoe has a medium instep and a nice gripping heel. We have a heel block that is a block style heel, reminiscent of the Florsheim gunboat and Royal Imperial styles, with a really robust leather heel stack and a chestnut colored patina with a high shine applied. You can see right there. We see a split seam down the backside of the shoe, and you see a unique design to the side paneling of the shoe, as if the shoe almost has a collar to it in a manner that is different than most other split toe derbies. Now, there are models out there from brands like Enzo Bonafé and I believe Paolo Scaforo that have elements of this, but not in the synthesis of these particular styles. Now, Florsheim's has a apron here. I believe it's a machine stitched apron, but Kiattoko has taken that design from Florsheim and made it their own. There was also a split seam on that Florsheim down the front of the shoe. You can see here that instead of having a standard machine sewn apron, we see a pie crust hand sewn apron, akin to the qualities you would see from a higher end shoemaker. Very, very impressive, but yet in the same proportion that came from the original Florsheim model. So the pattern of the leather cutting is essentially the same here. And also very unique to a higher end shoemaking, this is a reverse skin stitch split toe you see in higher end dress models. We see a storm welt here with a nice rugged fudging pattern. This is all done by hand, all the way around the shoe, 360 degrees, all the way around. And then you have this really lovely design to the upper stitching, double row along the top collar, and then this secondary pattern to the side, also with a nice but tighter double row. And if we come here, you can see a very clean work done on the center, even seam stitching. And yet you can see this heel has a slight asymmetry to it, which for me really grabs my foot particularly well. I love the color choice. This is a Ilcia Museum dark brown leather that you can see here, and I think this would make a great option for a GMTO model, but I am actually going to recommend a pebble grain Cuyo colored leather. to really mimic the most popular style out there in terms of the 93619 model, which is in a medium brown, orange brown leather. I think Kuyo with a little pebble grain leather would be a really cool color. Speaking of cool color and patina work done, you can see this beautiful sole work done with this recessed stitching, essentially a channel carved in. It's an exposed channel, but the stitching done on the outsole here is very cleanly done. And then this beautiful wood grain patina paint job done on the sole. The sole has a slight roundedness to it, which I think is really nice, probably to accommodate a heel shank, and a square waist. You can see the square edge to the waist here, also akin to the original design. I like this rubber back heel part because it prevents heel slip, but I'd love to see some additional nail work, decorative nail work akin to what we saw here, as well as that 5 nail pattern along the waist here. And maybe a Kiattoko Handmade label just to give it that flair of the original Florsheim model. I think this would be the boot enthusiast's shoe of choice because it incorporates both really elevated details, some dress style embellishments, but in a more rugged, somewhat rounded last with features that allow it to be casually worn with pairs from denim to chinos across a wide range. And yet you can have quite a bit of pride and ownership in knowing that this is a pair deeply inspired by a Florsheim vintage model. And I think a lot of people who are into boots are into vintage clothing and vintage wear, even with vintage shoes and boots. Obviously, the military style service boots that are so popular these days are an homage to 1940s or before World War II style boondocker boots. Here we have a piece of footwear from a very similar era that is reborn on probably the same aesthetic. Essentially, the same people who had been wearing those boots might be wearing these shoes to work. 5 eyelets and a nice leather footbed. If I take this true here, you can see the Kiattoko branding here, and you can see the nice work done on the sole, half leather sole with a hand welted footbed. You can see the dimples from the hand welting. Everything about this shoe speaks to the quality that Kiattoko Handmade has decided to introduce and unleash upon the world. This is one of the nicest emerging brands I have ever had the chance to work with. They're extremely accommodating, kind and friendly, run by a idea man, the guy who took my idea, this was my idea, and delivered it to the manufacturers in Hamas and his crew over there and made this a reality. And so I would love to return the favor by returning them some business because they have been extremely kind. And I mean, the quality here, guys, holy smokes. It is really something else. Kiattoko is just crushing it, from their old boy to their Wheaties service boot that I just featured, and now this model. So look out for this GMTO from Kiattoko Handmade in the near future. This being their 93619 homage from Florsheim to modern day Kiattoko Handmade. Let's go get it, guys. Have a good one. Take care, and I'll see you soon.